That's what Halleck Creek is. It's 2.5 billion tons of ore with a B, which is a lot. The strip ratio is 0.16, so it's basically at surface, very, very simple to mine. And it is a mine that will be the strategic anchor to United States rare earth supply domestically for many, many, many years.
Welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Mark Wall. He is the CEO of American Rare Earths. And Mark, it's good to see you. How are you?
Really good, Steve. Great to see you too.
Yeah, I know you're newly into the job as the CEO. So maybe let's start there. Just give me a bit of background on yourself and really why you were so excited to grab this opportunity.
And you're right, Steve. It's an exciting project. I'm out of the mining industry, a lot of copper and gold. Spent a long time with Barrick out of Toronto, so I'm really more used to running, operating, building projects. And my first time in rare earths, and it's a really really interesting place to be.
Absolutely. Halleck Creek is your flagship. That is the big one. It's in the U.S. It's got a lot of things going for it. One of which is it is very big. So tell me a little bit about the project and what you see as the big advantages you have.
Sure, Steve. I mean, I liken it to a big copper porphyry. So we know that years ago, folks mined high grade underground copper, and then the larger companies transitioned. They wanted big, long life ore bodies that were lower grade. They were really contiguous, really straightforward to mine, and that's what Halleck Creek is. It's 2.5 billion tons of ore with a B, which is a lot. The strip ratio is 0.16, so it's basically at surface, very, very simple to mine. And it is a mine that will be the strategic anchor to United States rare earth supply domestically for many, many, many years.
Yeah, they're estimating here about 100 years you could have enough rare earths to fuel the American economy. So, as you mentioned, it's got such massive size. You're in the state of Wyoming, very supportive, I know, from all levels of government for this particular project. So, let's talk about where you're at right now and really what are the steps that you need to take in 2026.
And Steve, 100 years is really conservative. It depends on the
Yeah,
price deck you use.
sure.
So if you go down to the cutoff grade at 1,000 ppm, then you're into the sort of more than 400 years. And this ore body is open at depth and open laterally. So this is a cornerstone asset strategically in this business for the United States. 2026 is going to be a really big year. The PFS will get finished up in 2026. The feasibility study will start. That's going to be like the 4 by 100 meter relay baton change. That is not, there's not going to be a lot of blue sky or any blue sky between those two activities. The state permit will go in 2026. We're advancing our discussions in DC, just really laying out how strategic this asset is. So in 2026, there is a lot going on, and it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it.
And you've got there's because it's so big and there's a lot of things going on. I was reading recently about working with the University of Wyoming, with parts of the project there. Like there seems to be so much byproduct of this particular size that there's a lot of great opportunity outside of what you've already talked about.
The state of Wyoming is a truly wonderful place to execute a resource project. Aside from the fact they're very used to it, they really understand, have a very mature permitting structure within Wyoming. You've got infrastructure, you've got rail, road, power. This is not about trying to build a project in some deep, dark, or cold part of the world where you may have a great ore body, but you don't have any infrastructure. We have both. We have a great ore body and we have fantastic infrastructure. Then you overlay that with the University of Wyoming. We're really doing some great work with them. I'm we're it's very fortunate. We're looking, for example, Steve, at the moment, this mine produces what we call a tailing, but it isn't really a tailing. It's basically engineered sand.
Hmm.
And we need to make sure we recover the water from that, but also what are the industrial uses or potential industrial uses for that? Rather than spend time and effort creating an engineered sand, can't we use that in some way within the great state of Wyoming? And we're working at the moment under a grant with the University of Wyoming on just that. Can the smart folks at the University of Wyoming figure out, should we be making glass, or should we be making tiles, or should we be making something else with something that we're already producing and using energy to produce on site? So yeah, it's a really great state, University of Wyoming, great to work with.
Yeah. So as we wrap up here, you're obviously at the OTC, and no doubt it's obviously you're looking for investors in the United States to back the project, like you have already a number of them, and so, but just the importance of this particular project, just in generalities for the U.S. is massive. Can you sort of talk through about you mentioned that you talk to people all the time about this particular project, and just how close you are, and what you'd like to see it get done. So just talk about the importance of this particular project.
Sure, Steve. I mean, one of the other really critical pieces is this project contains both the heavy and the light rare earths.
Yeah.
So the heavy rare earths being particularly strategically important, your terbium, dysprosium, samarium. Samarium, a key element for defense applications. So containing the heavies and the lights is a little different in the United States. Really, really important strategically. So we've got not only long life, not only the start of the life being on Wyoming state land, then we expand over time into the federal land, having the infrastructure of Wyoming, then also having the heavies and the lights, which makes us really important strategically in the domestic United States.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Well, it sounds like it's a busy 2026 ahead, Mark. Thanks so much for updating us, and we look forward to our next conversation, okay?
Thanks, Steve. Great to speak to you.
All right, there's Mark Wall, the CEO of American Rare Earths.